Fresh off a disappointing World Cup qualifying campaign, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be aiming to make it up to football fans in Nigeria by trying to win a fourth African title. But the big question, the million-dollar question is, can they do that on North African soil? There's only one way to find out, and that's when it kicks off on the 21st of December right there in Morocco. It's our tournament preview for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We focus on a team that has won this title 3 times in 1980, 1994, and 2013. My name is Olawale Adigun. I've got Chuma and Timi on this Super Eagles focus. Chuma, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Wale. Nice to be here, man.
Timi, up Nigeria. Up Nigeria.
Amen.
All right, Chuma, let's begin this preview with you. Super Eagles of Nigeria in Group C. They've got Tanzania, Uganda, and also the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia. What are your general expectations from Nigeria as far as this group is concerned?
I think when you use the word north, south, east, or west, the Super Eagles have wrapped up 3 out of those 4. When they won the Nations Cup in 1994, it was North Africa.
Yeah.
They hosted in 1980, West Africa, and then South Africa in 2013. So heading into North Africa again, no shaking. No shaking.
No shaking at
If we want to go with history, no shaking at all. But realistically, as that where we stand, really, we're at the point where we have so much to prove. The Nigerian national team will have so much to prove to their countrymen and to the rest of the continent, having missed out on qualifying for the World Cup. And preparations for the tournament, to be fair, have not been the most ideal in the world. Knowing how long it took Nigeria to come out with the final shortlist of 24, 28 players. Other rivals had come through with their shortlist. Nigeria took a longer time, and these things are quite concerning. But individual talents-wise, we're blessed. My biggest concern heading into this tournament will be the cohesion and synergy around the team.
Yeah, that's always the problem. I don't think you go to a tournament and to me, I've never seen a tournament where individual quality has always won it. It's always about the collective.
Yeah.
And that's the worry a lot of Nigerians have. That, we have those names. I mean, we have back-to-back African footballers of the year, Ademola Lookman and Victor Osimhen, but yet you don't get a feeling that there's a unit that can launch an assault in Morocco. What do you think?
Yeah, it's looking like it, and like it or not, new players will be drafted into the squad going to this Nations Cup. We have the likes of Afcon Adams, who has not played any tournament for Nigeria before. We have Chidera Ejuke, his last tournament was in 2019. We also have new players in the defense, like we mentioned. Trustekong is retired. We have goalkeeper now, Stanley Wabale, who is neither here nor there. But you look at that back line, you critically look at it and say, hey, some new faces will be in there. You look at the midfield, maybe yes, the regulars, Wilfred Ndidi, Onyedika, and he will be, the likes of them will be there. You look at the attack, maybe familiar names, Moses Simon, Victor Osimhen. These are the names that we believe will do the magic. But then when it comes to a team, a collective front from the Super Eagles, it's always very difficult. I think the last Nations Cup where we got to the finals, it had to be a change of tactics from Jose Pesero before we could start seeing a very good and solid team in that Nations Cup. So for this Nations Cup, you look at it critically and say, hey, maybe we should not just raise our hopes, because these players, like it or not going to the World Cup is a downer for them. And I just hope they can pick themselves up. And let's not forget that even before they played that playoff match against Gabon, they had this squabble about their bonuses and the rest of it. So all these things coming into play really is not giving me assurances of how far the Super Eagles can go. Whether they can now play for the pride of the nation, the pride of the flag, or maybe motivation again from the presidency in terms of monetary values. I don't know, Lawale, but I just hope we can do something with ourselves in this Nations Cup and just forget about the World Cup.
I'd like to know what the president is saying in terms of promises, because I don't know if the promises for coming second in Ivory Coast has been fulfilled yet. In terms of the houses or whatever they were promised. But let's not talk about the absences, because Chuma, those absences are more defensive in nature. He talked about the leader of the industrial action, William Trustekong. He has retired from the national team. Benjamin Fredericks, who's our breakthrough player of the year, is out with injury or line-up. How big of a miss are these names for Nigeria going to Afcon 2025?
Big miss, really, because, again, going back to Afcon 2023 that took place in 2024, William Troost-Ekong, best player in the tournament, for a defender to have gotten that award.
Yeah.
Not also around for Nigeria. Benjamin Frederick, Nigeria's was improved player, the best Nigerian player, I dare say, in defense in 2025, not around as well, too. Ola, one of the best right backs in the Premier League in the last set of years, Nottingham Forest man, also not in the conversation. These are all worrisome signs. The amount of players and the quality of the players who are not around. But I'm thinking to myself, this man, he should go to the final and not just stop in the semis. Semi Ajayi. He'll win the mix,
There you go
I would
again.
think himself and Calvin Bassey in the middle of the pack. I know there are people who said, what else does he offer the team beyond defending semi when he couldn't really stand up amongst the star players to score penalties for us against DR Congo. But I think himself and Calvin Bassey will hold on in that middle of the pack in defense. And then, of course, Zaidu Senusi from the left side. Now, Bright Osei Samuel is the option I'm thinking of from that right full-back position in the absence of Olaino and Benjamin Frederick. And then we hopefully hope that these guys can be in Pidgin. They say Kajad enough. For our goalkeeper, maybe it's an upgrade. Maybe that we're now having a European-based goalkeeper coming between the sticks for us in this Nations Cup. Shout out to Maduka Okoye. And then attack. We're blessed.
I have an unpopular opinion on Maduka. I don't know if you guys agree. I think he's a better goalkeeper than Wabali. And you know why? Because by the virtue of him playing in the top 5 league in Europe, I think it's better.
I think you have a point there. You have a valid point there. But then again, you look at Maduka Okoye and sometimes his lack of concentration in terms of when you need him to make those saves. Sorry, I'm talking about Stanley Wabali.
Okay, all right.
Not Maduka Okoye, Stanley Wabali. I think the only issue with the goalkeeping aspect is lack of concentration in key moments for Stanley Wabali. And sometimes he can be very playful, which is, for me, not really necessary. Some things that he does, you look at it and say, this can only happen in the MPFL. You only do these things in the MPFL, not at the international stage. So apart from that, I think I want to still rate Stanley Wabali as one of our very good goalkeepers. But then Maduka Okoye, for me, really stands above Stanley Wabali.
Stanley Maduka needs to
I
go
wouldn't
to
say
tournament.
really, because Stanley has proven himself at
He has.
Nigerian level.
He has.
Sometimes he can be better at club level, but at national team level, this person.
I think
shines.
your
I
quality
think-
should be able to shine through at any
know.
level.
I think the
Yeah.
only worrying
If
thing for
Maduka can
for
be a
Maduka,
number one at Udinese,
Yeah.
this is a big club in the Serie A. I mean, at best, a modest club in the Serie A, top 5 league in Europe. It means something. When he was out during that
Ban?
Yeah.
he came back and took his place immediately.
Yeah.
That's how highly,
Olale-
the Costas Runiaik rates him.
I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I think the only problem Nigerians have with him is the fact that they haven't forgiven him for that goal he considered against Tunisia.
And guess what? Tunisia in our group again.
Exactly. So maybe he has a chance to redeem himself.
Now, let's talk about the administrators themselves. They have never covered themselves in glory, even with the preparation, the 54-man squad or provisional squad. But we understand, have given the manager, Eric Chell, a target of getting to at least the semi-finals of the Afcon. And Chuma, I don't know what you make of this, because how does a team who gets to the final of the last tournament be given a target are you reducing the bar? Is that how low the standard has come for Nigerian football?
They're not cut down jam cut-off points now, But I think for me, this just feels like it's standard practice. Every time we have a Nations Cup, we're always given these targets at the point too. I'm sure Pesero would have thought about this as well too. And something Timmy mentioned earlier, take away the 2008 Afcon where Betty Votes, ironically, for all of his greatness, took Nigeria to the competition. We got knocked out in the quarterfinals. If my memory serves me right, it was Ghana. That got us out of that competition. Take that away and take away the Afcons that we did not qualify for, 2012, 2015, 2017. It looks like it's standard practice. Now, when Nigeria goes to an Afcon, the minimum is semi-finals. And that's why we won more bronze medals in the Afcon than any other nation in the history of the competition. So that, for me, is like, it's the most basic thing in life. Getting to the semi-finals of the Afcon for Nigeria should be like qualifying for the Afcon. Once you qualify, try and get to that stage. I don't see it as any serious target. Austin Eguavon, yes, with his team lost to Tunisia in the round of 16 in AFCON 2021. You see how devastating that was, and you guys have spoken about not forgetting Maduka Okoye too. So an average Nigerian expects that when you go to the AFCON, at least bring bronze, come back, no matter how bad he wants to be. And for Shell, I think that he's had the privilege, there's no excuse anymore, he's been with this team. He's played several matches, whether it's from the qualifying series for the World Cup, as many as 4 or 5, to coming into the playoffs, having the privilege of playing 2 more competitive games than any other African nation, apart from DRC. on this stage, on this level, as one of the favorites for the competition itself. So he should have had that cohesion and synergy. He should know his best 11 at this stage. I think at least 80% of that best 11. And as he goes into the competition, as far as you don't meet a Morocco or a Senegal in the early rounds, it should be normal that Nigeria gets to the semis.
Yeah, and as we draw this Super Eagles focus to a close, Timmy, does winning the African Cup of Nations for the 4th time in the history of Nigeria, does it make up for not making it to the World Cup in USA, Canada, and Mexico next year?
Well, in a way, he has to make up. I have always had this opinion that winning the Afcon is far greater than you showing up at the World Cup, because in the end, I don't think Nigeria...
Timmy, can you press rewind?
Yeah, well, I'm saying it again. I think winning the Afcon is far better than going to the World Cup and not winning it. I think for me, that's the best thing that can happen to Nigeria, going to the Afcon, winning the tournament. Because in the end, Olawale, you look at it critically, we've been to several World Cups and we've not even gotten to the semi-final. We've not even...
When you say several World Cups, our World Cup started in 1994.
No, it doesn't matter.
94, 98, 2010.
Morocco.
2002.
2010.
Yeah. I'll make you look like I've gone to a zillion World Cups.
Olawale, World Cup. Morocco has... I don't think Morocco has gone to more than 10 World Cups. They've gotten to the semi-final. Senegal have gotten to... They've broken that quarter-final edge.
Even Ghana.
Senegal, Ghana.
Have you forgotten we're also the first to do the quarters at USA 994?
Yeah, we only did the round of 16.
No, sorry,
actually.
the round of 16 before we got bounced by Italy.
But we've not gone past that in recent World Cups, and that's the problem for me. So, for me, I feel that even if we qualify for USA, Mexico, and Canada in 2026, we're not going to win it. That's the real truth.
Do you share the sentiments, Chuma?
Sadly, I don't. I know that, again, for club football fans, they always say, what does it profit a club to finish second in the league and not win anything compared to another one that wins the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup or something. So from a trophy perspective, I get his POV. But I'm thinking that it wouldn't pacify me or satisfy me. Nigeria winning the Afcon will not take away the embarrassment and shame and anger I have as to not qualifying for the World Cup. The World Cup is the biggest party in the beautiful game globally. This is an Afcon now that they're saying they're not releasing players to you until 6 days before the tournament. We know how respected the World Cup is.
Yeah.
So I bet go to the World Cup. We've won Afcon 3 times in our lives. I did hold that one for now.
At least you've
but
seen
qualify
one
for
in
the
your
World
lifetime.
Exactly, bro. But at least qualify for this World Cup. There's a chance that you could get to the second round, at least, as Stephen Keshi did and Clemens Westerhoff also did for us as well too. So Nigeria, if you like, win this Afcon, beat everybody 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. It will not pacify me.
Actually,
for the Super Eagles
for me, I think it will be a very good one if Nigeria can win this Nations Cup. Whether or not they qualify for the World Cup, for me, I feel that we are not
But
prepared.
is also making some fair point.
We are
Yeah,
not
it is
prepared for this
silverware.
World Cup.
This
Yeah.
is silverware.
We're winning
This
it-
is
the
being the
tournament.
best on the continent.
On the continent. Because Olawale, in the end, whether or not we like it, the truth is that this World Cup we are talking about, it's for a secluded people or secluded nations, and this nation, like I mentioned them, it's not.
Let me throw one at you quickly, and Chuma. Let's equate winning the Afcon to getting to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Which is bigger? Which would you have for Nigeria?
At this point.
Which would you want for Nigeria?
At this point, or if
No,
Nigeria...
it's at this point.
At this point, okay.
Yeah, which would you want for Nigeria?
Semi-finals at the World Cup, actually.
So I think it still speaks to Chuma's point.
But the reality on ground at this point is that we are not going to this World Cup. That's the reality on ground. That's how I'm
We're
asking.
just trying to be hypothetical.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I feel I have resigned my fate that we're not going to this World Cup. So what can you do to appease me? It is by you winning this Afcon. Because if you don't win this Afcon, then it's been a shambolic year for Nigeria.
So
it's like, bashing my car so badly and then you buy a TV set for me to appease me. No.
it's not going to be enough.
You
It's
bash
not-
the
it's not gonna
expensive
be-
car now. So that's it. I'll be happy that you bought a TV for me. I'm grateful, but he's not pacified me for the issue.
So, guys, where do you think Nigeria ranks amongst the favorites? If you're probably going to be doing a power ranking of 4 teams who are likely to win the AFCON and you want to put in Nigeria in there, Chuma, where do you think we rank?
Before we failed to qualify for the World Cup, knowing that we had gotten to the Afcon final, I would have ranked us top 2. But as things stand now, with the absence that of some star players in defense and where we are in Nigerian football now, since you narrowed it to 4, I'll put us as number 4. If you expand it to 5, we'll be number 5.
Wow. Simi, what about you?
I think it will be top 3, like it or not. Yeah, because Nigeria has always shown that AFCON, if we get our acts right, if we get our players mentally prepared, we can go as far as semi-finals. And I'm not prepared to go lower than 3rd because for me, I feel we have the players. I think we have the players who should be hungry enough to go as far as the semi-finals. And I think that this coach wants to prove to the Nigerian fans that he's capable of leading Nigeria to glory if given that chance. So I feel Nigeria top 3. In fact, let me give you a shocker. If Morocco doesn't get into the semi-finals, I tip Nigeria as the favorites.
You ask me, I will throw the Jose Mourinho way. If I speak, I am in trouble. Thank you guys for helping out with the preview on the Super Eagles of Nigeria and their chances going into the 35th edition of the Afcon. You guys definitely enjoy the very best of Africa's biggest football fiesta. Thank you very much, everyone, for enjoying this one. And we will continue to support the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So we say it right here. Go Super Eagles, Soar Super Eagles, and wish you guys the very best of luck.